Hello and welcome back. Today on Matt's World DIY, I'm going to take the head unit that's inside my 2014 Ford Escape and remove it. The original little screen is just too small and it's not living up to what we have to deal with in the year 2024. So what I've done was I've purchased a replacement head unit, and I'm going to show you through the steps today of how to remove your original head unit and replace it with a Android and Apple Play car head unit with reverse camera. So let's get to it. All right, the very first thing we have to do is to remove all of the trim pieces. We'll start on the top and work our way on to the bottom. I have my handy little trim tool, and if you don't have one of these, get one. It's a lifesaver. So I have to tell you, on this top piece, those little yellow clips, you must retain them because you'll need them in the future. Then you'll have a Torx tool. You just need to have a Torx bit to remove two screws that are holding down your original display. These screws are pretty easy to take off, and just make sure you don't lose them. And you'll find that whenever I take this next screw out, the piece just pulls straight up and super simple, easy. Now, to remove the little cable from there, I struggled forever to figure out that there's a latch that holds the cable in place. So after that's done, take and remove the little rubber plate that's on the top, because we'll be removing this, the top plate piece here. And it's just held in with three little screws. So you pull those out and then use your trim tool and pop the little clips out. Just go around gently. I found that taking your time and just go at your own pace is the best method. You're not going to need any more of those pieces. That's going to be discarded. The front face is held in with two screws. It's like everything is held in with two screws. But take those two screws out and then again use your trim tool to pull or separate that front face from the dash. As I stated before, just take your time, be careful with this so that you don't break any of this plastic. If you do, that's not going to be good, because you need this front-facing piece of equipment to reinstall. Now, after you have that pulled out, you'll notice that it's connected with one cable. You could leave that connected. I didn't know what I was doing, so I disconnected it. Now, here's the head unit. It's held in with how many screws? Two screws. And just understand that you're not going to have a CD player anymore when you take this thing out. Then we start disconnecting cables. Now, we have the radio looking at it from this perspective, there's a radio connector, an antenna connector, and then these other two larger clips. Just pinch and pull and they'll come out, and you have successfully removed your original head unit now. So that's good. Congratulations. So looking at the cables we have, that bottom cable again goes to that front controlling thing. Then you have the radio and antenna, and then these two larger harnesses that go to your radio. And then on the very, very top is the display. And now we're ready to start making our connections. So I pulled out the new head unit. It's face down right now. And we're going to start making some connections with cables. First and very easiest thing is the GPS module. So you just screw that in and it's in place and it's good to go. And then I just set that aside. The next thing is this black harness that it's a black clip, and this can be a pretty overwhelming situation if you're just looking at all the different pieces, but all these clips, they only go in one way. So you cannot go wrong. The second one I just put in is for the backup camera. And then this next one is optional because it has connectors for if I wanted to put side cameras or a front camera on my car, whatever. I don't, so it's optional. This is the radio port, and this is where you take, it has its own designated connector, just as usual. And this is what the other side looks like that you'll plug in from the car. These next two that I'm putting in that have the little 4 pins, those are for USB ports that I decided to take out. I wasn't going to use the USBs, so I just, if you want to, connect them. If you don't have to connect it. You're going to have a lot of cables in the back of this thing to find a place for, so the fewer cables, the better. Now, this yellow video cable is obviously for the video, and it gets connected to the very top harness. So just go ahead and make your connectors, your connections as it makes sense. Like I said earlier, they're only going to go one way. And then this is that front controlling unit. Like I said, I had pulled that cable out earlier. I could have just left it in. So you want to leave that in because you will be able to use your controls on your steering wheel as well as on the front of this, the original faceplate. So I'm just going through what cables are where, and that is the top cable that is connected to the backup camera and the display. Here's my GPS. That was the very first cable I put in. I'm not pointing to it right there, but it's below that. And then the other one was the microphone. You want to be able to have the microphone connected so that you can use Siri or whatever. And there is a port in there somewhere, if we can find it. There it is. The next thing I'm going to connect is the radio, and please make sure you're using the black plug, not the yellow one, that is going to bring power to your radio. And of course, that just plugs into the back of the unit as well. Even if you have a difficult time figuring out the instructions, this is really a pretty simple, straightforward installation. All you have to do is match up the pins on the connectors and you're good. Now, before I moved on, I wanted to test the unit to make sure everything worked properly before I put everything back together. So I powered up the car, and I was really amazed at the clarity of the screen and the how quickly it responds to touch. And so I was happy, and time to move forward. So let's install the display screen. It goes, that bottom notch goes into a notch in the center of the dash, and then there's two holes where the screws go. And so all you have to do is line up the notch and push it and slide it toward the windshield, and it will lock into place. And then you can, to secure it totally, you'll use the screws. But before I did that, I want to install my front face again. And again, just gently line things up and push down. You'll hear it click into place. And before I went on, I wanted to make sure that my air conditioner vent controls were working too, and there was no problem there. Then install your screws. Now, I did not, in the video, I did not install the screws for the front faceplate, but make sure you don't forget that step either. Then, when you're putting on the flat plate here that goes around the screen, make sure you go from back to front. There are these clips that slide in from right above where you see the CD slot that's no longer going to be used. But then you just push down and it secures into place. It snaps in. Then I wanted to put my GPS back there, and then I installed my little yellow clips onto the new top plate. And all you have to do is push down and it snaps into place. I have my microphone closest to the windshield, and the surround on the top of this fits in beautifully. It looks really like it came from the factory. I love how this really came together nicely. Take a look at this. If you weren't looking for it, you would not know that this was an aftermarket type deal. The coloration is a little bit off, but I think the dash might be a little faded from sun, and everything fits in so beautifully and nicely. And here's the moment that most people usually look forward to, and that's peeling that little protective film off. I love it. And I tested it, and my backup camera shows my guides. Everything works so beautifully. I am going to say, however, you'll need to go into the settings and make sure that your video display settings for your backup camera is set to what it needs to be. Mine had to be set, I don't remember what it was, but it was like, okay, 1080p, 720p, but it was the very top one in the settings that you had to choose from. So just kind of keep that in mind. I'm sorry I didn't have that on video, but I found the installation on this unit very straightforward. I like its responsiveness. I think it's performing quite well. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also check out some of my other videos I have on my DIY playlist. And with that in mind, I will see you next time.